So since March, we all have been zooming in and out of the meeting. You probably were just in another meeting 10 minutes ago, or you were probably helping your children during their virtual homework, or you're probably like me, waiting anxiously for this to start. I just cannot wait to meet all of you face to face. So I say we value a lot about self-care. We constantly talk about the importance of making time for ourselves with survivors and also our staff. In today's world, this topic is more prominent than ever. So before we start with the welcome speech by our board president, Diane will lead us in a breathing exercise that can help us to be more centered and present. Then I will speak about the values and the history of SAFE, followed by Kate and program managers to talk about the programs and how we're doing differently during the pandemic times. After that, I would like to share with you some tips that you can help a friend who is experiencing IPV. And our last activity is a community discussion that you will join the breakout session with SAFE staff to ask any questions that you may have, also to have a deeper and intimate conversation about how you can be a part of the change in ending domestic violence in your community. So, talking about intimate partner violence can feel overwhelmed to some folks. So if at any time during the event that you're not feeling well, please come back to the breathing exercise and hopefully it will bring you back to the calm space. Now, I'm pleased to introduce you to Diane Anderson, who has been with SAFE for 11 years. She wears many hats in our organization. She's currently our interim ED, Director of Clinical or Prevention Services, and Research and Grant Specialist. She holds a PhD in psychology and has extensive experience in helping survivors heal through clinical services. She'll explain the science behind why the diaphragm breathing can help you reduce your anxiety and why it is helpful to do it 2 to 3 times a day under stressful circumstances. So welcome, Diane.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Happy to see you in this virtual format. So yes, I'm going to lead you through a breathing exercise. Clients complain most often to us about anxiety because trauma causes anxiety. And our staff experience anxiety because dealing with trauma is stressful. So at SAVE, we focus a lot on self-care. We talk about it at staff meetings, we do trainings on it, we check in with each other often. And I'm sure you have all remembered when you used to fly and they would give information about if an oxygen mask should fall from the ceiling, please put your oxygen mask on first before assisting others. And self-care is very much like that. You have to take care of yourself first before you can be of service to anybody else. So I'm going to lead a breathing activity, and breathing is really the foundation of anybody's anti-anxiety toolkit. Everybody should have breathing as something they can turn to. And breathing is important, especially diaphragmatic breathing, because it pushes on your vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve is something that runs from the amygdala in your brain all the way down through and wraps around all your organs except for your kidneys. And your amygdala is responsible for your emotional responses. So when you activate your vagus nerve by pushing on it with the breathing we're going to do, it sends a signal to that amygdala to calm down. I'm going to show you 2 poses tonight. One is in a seated position and one is in a standing position. So you can pick whichever you would like if you want to follow along. The seated position starts by putting your feet squarely on the floor and placing your hands palm down underneath your thighs, right? Sitting up straight, chest out, chin forward, right? This is a position that you can do anytime. You can do it while riding in a car. You can do it while sitting around the dinner table with relatives at the holidays. You can do this while on yet another Zoom call, anytime you want to call up some diaphragmatic breathing. The other pose to do, if you want to do this one, I'm going to be standing, and you stand like a super person with your feet about hip width apart, And you're going to take your hands and put them on your rib cage, not on your hips, but on your rib cage, right? That allows you to put your chest out and chin out. And this super person pose actually has research behind it to show that people who practice super people breathing every day actually have better outcomes at the things they're trying to achieve. Most recently, surgeons were asked to stand like super people and do their breathing, and they had better surgical outcomes. So there's some real science behind wanting to do this kind of breathing. So when you are doing your breathing, we're going to do it here today. We're going to breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, and breathe out for a count of 4. We're going to do this 4 times, and I'll count for you. And you can do this with your eyes opened or closed. You can do this with your mouth opened or closed. It doesn't matter. It really just matters that you extend the breathe in, hold, and extend the breathe out. So for those of you who are ready to breathe along with me, here we go. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Last time in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. So there is your anti-anxiety moment of the day. I hope that you are feeling a little more relaxed as we head into the evening. And it is recommended that you practice that breathing 2 to 3 times a day, at least 5 minutes at a time, and practice it when you don't need it, so that when you do need it, you have that skill to pull up at will and use to calm yourself down. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane, for leading us into today's event in a calm space. I definitely feel more centered and present because I was really anxious when I joined in. So since March, when the shelter in place started, we also closed our empowerment center for the safety for our own staff. But this didn't stop our work in providing support and services for the survivors. Next, please give a warm welcome to Unity Amin, our board president. She will speak more about how we balance employee safety with the client's need and their safety as well.
Good evening. As you heard, I'm Unati Amin, and on behalf of the Board of Directors and staff of SAVE, I would like to welcome you and thank you all for joining us tonight. We are so pleased that you have decided to spend your Friday night with us. In these trying times, issues of safety are at the top of all our minds. It has always been at the heart of what we do, but many of us here at SAVE never really appreciated before how much we are all part of the essential workforce. The past 6 months have brought that into clear focus. Our response has continuously balanced employee safety with clients' needs and safety. Through this pandemic, clients have continued to require emergency housing, and as such, we have kept our safe house open. We have reduced capacity in an effort to maintain social distancing, but it is still communal living. We are constantly balancing our clients' need for safety from abuse versus their safety from COVID. And just last week, a resident tested positive, and so all clients were exited to county quarantine hotels and staff were sent home. As clients receive clearance, they will return to the safe house and our balancing act will continue. At each stage of reopening, an effort to maintain a balance has been paramount. For many clients, remote operations have been very good and have actually removed barriers to services. For example, clients without childcare or transportation can still receive case management therapy without having to worry about who's going to watch the kids or how they will get to our empowerment center. However, about 1/3 of our clients still live with their abuser, making remote operations very unsafe for them. They cannot call in or be on Zoom where their conversations could be overheard. So how have we balanced this need? We started by asking clients to make appointments to come to our empowerment center. This has allowed us to manage the number of clients as well as maintain social distancing. As time has gone on, we have opened our doors on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Again, weighing staff safety against clients' needs. And so here we are, balancing our time as we share more with you about our clients, our programs, and the community we serve. We hope you leave curious to learn more about this movement and about SAFE. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Unity, for speaking with us today. Like Unity said, the balance between employee safety and clients' needs is infused in everything that we do at SAFE. So at SAFE, we not only operate with safety in mind, our 5 core values also represent everything we do in every program, every interactions we have with survivors, and every conversation that we carry internally and externally. So next, I would like to share with you SAFE's value. We have 5 core values: welcoming, dedicated, bold, social justice advocates, and survivor-centered. First, we're welcoming. We receive everyone with acceptance and compassion. We create programs that are welcome, equitable, and accessible to all. We also recruit staff and volunteers who reflect the people and community that we serve. We're also dedicated. We see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to work towards creative solutions. We are deeply committed to working with individuals and communities, as well as towards systems change. By doing this, we stay informed of best practices, shift in the movement, and relevant issues that intersect with intimate partner violence. We're also bold. We believe in daringly greatly and thinking outside the box. We stand in our power and advocate for survivors and for violence prevention in our communities. We engage in great conversations. We value person over outcome and honesty over popularity. We are social justice advocates. We are advocates within a movement devoted to ending intimate partner violence. We strive to incorporate an anti-oppression lens in all aspects of our work. We intentionally and continuously working to recognize our privilege and biases. We also actively participate in local and statewide movement activities and policies. Last but not least, we are survivor-centered. We begin and end our work with the need and goal of a survivor as our priorities. We do this by supporting the well-being and the goals of survivors. We honor each person's lived experience and keep their information confidential. We are authentic and real, and we live our values. So I really hope that through tonight's event, you also experience these values in our presentation and the conversation that you will have in the breakout room. So as we gather today in recognition of National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which was first observed in 1987, and 2 years later, Congress designated October as DV Awareness Month. So we start to think back about the history of SAFE. You know, SAFE was founded in 1976, which was 11 years before the first observation of the DV Awareness Month. We started as a grassroots organization by a group of women in the Tri-City area who sought to provide support to victims of domestic violence. And at that time, there were no shelters in southern Alameda County that would serve this specific need. So next, I would like to share with you a brief history of SAFE. After watching this short clip, I hope that you will have an understanding of why our founding mothers saw the importance of starting our organization to support women and their families, despite the tremendous amount of work that needed to be done, and also how the Safe House was first started.
I saw in the paper that there was a group of women that were meeting in Hayward, and they were going to be starting a shelter for battered women and their children.
And worked with them on a conference about 1978. It was one of the earliest conferences on how to deal with domestic violence and how to assist women.
I loved it. It was an enormous amount of work, and when I first joined the board, meetings would go until 11 or 12 o'clock at night. It was long and exhausting because we were just beginning the organization. We were getting clients that came in that were battered and abused, and we realized other than just counseling, we had no alternative, no safe place for them to go. And it became a real passion for a core group of women.
One of the high points of being a SAVE board member was when I asked my father if we could use one of the little houses that he owned in Fremont for a shelter, because I had just joined a group of women. I don't know why it is exactly that I joined SAVE, except that I think that I wanted women to be empowered.
So the little house has grown into what SAVE is now. 44 years later, we still continue to provide free programs and services to our survivors. And now I'm very pleased to introduce Kate Hart, who is our Director of Programs and has been with SAVE for 23 years. She's definitely your go-to person for great historical information about SAVE and also SAVE services. She has extensive experience with working directly with survivors for the last 2 decades. And these past 6 months have been something that she had never experienced before. Next, she will give you an overview of SAVE's operation during this pandemic times.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I think the thing that I most want to highlight in terms of how we've been operating through the pandemic is actually that I am really happy and proud to say that SAVE was really able to pivot very quickly to providing almost all of our services virtually within just a few days of going into shelter in place. Of course, those first few days were just as shocking and head spinning for us as they were for everyone, but we were really lucky in that our staff are very tech savvy folks who were quite comfortable with virtual technology, and we're already employing it in lots of ways. We were corresponding with clients by email. We were already using Zoom for meetings, and we have a database that can be accessed remotely. So we were really well equipped in a lot of ways to make that shift to, essentially almost no in-person contact and moving everything remote. Within just a couple of weeks of going into shelter in place, we were able to transition all of our drop-in support groups and workshops to Zoom. And as Unity mentioned, that's been really successful for us. And throughout the shutdown, we've continued to provide, essentially the same services, and we've found creative ways to meet the needs of the folks that are coming to us, the survivors that are coming to us for services. And, I really see our agency's response to COVID, and I see this in our sister domestic violence agencies also as, proof of our real ability to navigate all kinds of crisis. Agencies like ours have been stretched thin and under-resourced since our beginnings, and so we really know how to dig in and get creative when we face challenges. Of course, everything hasn't all been easy. Our clients are scared and worried just like the rest of us, and many are newly unemployed and facing additional hardships that weren't there before. As was mentioned, some are sheltered in place with the person that's harming them, and they're limited in their ability to connect with us for services and resources. And, so that really has caused us to really get creative and work hard to make sure that folks are taken care of. The walk-in services at the Empowerment Center are opening back up, but as we said, they've been very restricted. And that place, and you'll hear more about it later, is really kind of a place of respite for a lot of survivors that come to us for services. It's a beautiful building. You should come and take a tour if you haven't seen it. And it really is a space where, you know, if a survivor needs a place to be during the day, they can come and rest there. And so it's been hard on everyone for us to not be able to provide quite the same service there as we have previously. And then, you know, one of the biggest challenges, as also was mentioned, was having to reduce the population of our safe house. And we did that on the advice of County Public Health. We've been working really closely with them to make sure that the house is safe for the residents who are there, making sure that the folks who were moved out got what they needed. And one of the choices that we made as an agency was, you know, knowing that we had those beds that we could not fill because of the need for social distancing, but knew that there were survivors out there who needed that safe space, we made a choice to create almost an alternate shelter at a local motel. So since early summer, we've been providing long-term stays to survivors at that motel and providing them with essentially all the same services they would receive in shelter. And that project was, you know, really the right best move to make to serve the needs of our survivors. But it's taking a huge financial toll on the agency as we've far exceeded our normal annual budget for emergency motel stays. So that's been a fulfilling project, but really has taken a toll on the agency. And then looking to the future, you know, we are, as was said, slowly moving back to a new normal. We just finished an in-person 40-hour volunteer training with everybody appropriately distanced and everyone masked. We are starting to see folks in person again, and staff are working less remotely and more on site. And some of the changes that we've had to make have had unexpected upsides and will likely stay in place for the foreseeable future. One of the things we discovered about offering support groups and workshops by Zoom is that they're well attended by folks who otherwise would have had a hard time getting to us. And so it makes tremendous sense to keep offering that service. And it really helps us broaden our services to a population that otherwise we would not have been able to serve. And the shutdown also helped us reflect on other improvements that could be made, like adding a text and chat feature to our crisis line, which was something that was kind of, someday we're going to do that, and turns out today's the day. So we are working on implementing those kinds of changes in the coming months. And at this point, I think we're feeling really confident that despite all the real pain and challenges of the pandemic and still a lot of uncertainty, we're going to come out of this as a better, stronger organization.
Thank you so much, Kay, for the update. At SAFE, we believe that every person has the right to live in peace, but the process is so complicated and different by each individual. So now you'll hear from each program manager to speak about why all our services are essential for survivors on their journey to a life free of violence. SAFE's 24 hours crisis line is the gateway to all of SAFE's services. Next, I'm pleased to introduce you Jenna Oxford, our crisis response manager. She has been with SAFE for 6 years, and she'll speak to you about crisis line and community-oriented prevention services.
Hello. Under the umbrella of the crisis response team, I manage, like Travis said, the crisis line and the COPS program. So SAFE's 24-hour crisis line is one of the gateways of getting into SAFE services. So you have trained domestic violence advocates that offer callers emotional support, crisis intervention, and referrals to pretty much anywhere that they would need services from. The calls that we receive can be conducted in more than 300 languages through a 24/7 translation service provided to us by the county. In 2019, SAFE responded to over 1,000 calls. Over the course of this year, in regards to the crisis line, we expect to provide 24-hour coverage of our crisis line 7 days a week, providing callers with a consistent support across all advocates, providing that support on our crisis line. providing survivors with safety strategies 100% of the time when relevant, and providing multiple access points to our services that provide a safer reach out for our clients. Like Kate said, during this time, the ability to have a text feature is going to be extremely important in regards to clients being able to reach us in a safer manner. As far as our COPS program goes, Community-Oriented Prevention Services, SAVE is partnered with 5 local police departments to improve law enforcement response to domestic violence survivors and increase the officers' understanding of the dynamics of domestic abuse. During 2019, 526 victims received help at the Fremont, Hayward, Union City, Newark, and San Leandro Police Department. The COPS advocates work with the survivors referred by the police departments to provide safety and well-being through crisis counseling, information, advocacy, and access to emergency resources. We also provide temporary restraining order assistance and court accompaniment as it links to our supportive services. In addition to the crisis line being available 24/7, our COPS advocates are also available 24/7 in response to the Fremont Police Department regarding calls of domestic violence. Over the course of the next year within our COPS program, we expect to provide training to all 5 departments, sworn and non-sworn employees. We expect to expand our outreach to outside organizations and be more remote to better serve survivors who cannot make it to the police stations or to our community center. So we want to thank you guys all for supporting our COPS program as well as our crisis line.
Thank you so much, Jenna. As Jenna let you know, our crisis line is one way into SAVE's free services. Another place where survivors can receive crisis support is our Empowerment Center. So next, I'm pleased to introduce you to Jasia Min, who is our Community Case Manager and Volunteer Manager. She has been with SAVE for 4 years.
Hi everyone, as Cha mentioned, my name is Jasia and I've been with SAVE for about 4 years and I work out of our Empowerment Center. And so our Empowerment Center is our community space where clients can walk in with or without an appointment to meet with an advocate. Obviously, as Kate mentioned, because of shelter in place, we're not able to open up the EC for walk-in services. However, we are still working with survivors remotely and meeting folks at the Empowerment Center if they require an in-person visit for support. So in terms of what can a client expect when they walk in through our doors? First of all, they're going to be greeted warmly by a 40-hour trained domestic violence advocate. We assess folks' immediate needs, such as, have you had a chance to eat, sleep? Do you need clothes? Sometimes the survivors who come through our doors have to flee their situations immediately and might not show up with a whole lot. It might just be a bag of clothes. And so it's really hard for folks to sit down with a case manager and, plan for their safety and make important decisions if, their immediate needs have not been met. So aside from immediate needs, we also offer longer term support where clients can receive case management to become stabilized. And this includes emergency safety planning, assistance with finding shelter, housing, job resources, support with budgeting, finances, and other community resources that will support their overall well-being. At our Empowerment Center, we also have offer individual counseling as well as support groups. So these are groups that where survivors can connect with other folks to get some peer support. We also offer healthy relationships groups. We have financial literacy, budgeting workshops, as well as other life skills workshops that will support the family's overall needs. And so last year at the Empowerment Center, we served about 400 clients through this program. So it's a very important space where clients, as I mentioned, can walk in where there isn't a whole lot of other places that folks can receive this service.
Thank you, Jasia, for providing us an understanding understanding of why our empowerment center is so important for our survivors. As you can see in the slide, these are pictures of our lovely empowerment center. It's very colorful. This is where you walk in and you will see on the top left-hand corner, you will see this is where a client can sit down and we can greet them. This altar is put together by our light members who are survivors, and they continue to volunteer and save, and then become leaders and advocates. This is an altar that you can put on your offerings, things that represent how do you feel towards this movement. This is our support group where we have our large group therapy session. This is where when you come in and you'll see our warm welcome faces. And these posters that we continue to put through in our empowerment centers to represent who we are and what we believe in. So Empowerment Center is really a safe place for all survivors to receive non-judgmental support. Another safe place for our survivors is our safe house. Our safe house is in a confidential location, offers family fleeing abuse, case management, counseling, therapy, children's services, access to food, clothing, and other basic needs. Next, I will show you a video of our safe house tour that was pre-recorded by.
Hi, welcome to Safe House. My name is Heather Mahoney. I'm the Safe House Program Manager.
Hi, my name is Shakila Omar and I'm the lead shelter program counselor. Welcome to Safe House.
And we're part of the Safe House team. 25 women and children call this place home every day. Because of COVID, we reduced the numbers a little bit to allow for physical distancing. And in the house, we wear masks at all times, so that's why we're wearing masks today. In the Safe House, all rooms are shared, so depending on the size of the room, it could be 2 or more families sharing that space. So this is an example of one of our bedrooms. This particular bedroom could be shared by 2 families or a larger family. This particular bed is all set up to welcome a new family that's going to come to us soon. So you'll notice there's linens, there's a new pillow, it's all clean, prepared. It's really important to us that all bedrooms or the environment is set up to be welcoming and accessible to everyone that comes to us. We just recently made some new upgrades to our facilities to be welcoming and accessible to all. This is our upgraded ADA bathroom. So you'll notice that we have a roll-in shower and we have a fold-down shower bench. Other ways that we made the Safe House accessible would be that we have ramps off of our accessible bedroom and off one of our main entrances. So now we're in our dining room. So you'll notice some larger spaces if folks want to eat in a larger group or together, and you'll notice some smaller spaces if they want to eat individually or just within their family. This space gets used for eating, for gathering, and festivities. So this is our kitchen. So this is shared by everybody in the community. Anybody can cook at any time that they want to, whatever works for them and their family. Everyone has their own cupboard space, their own refrigerator and freezer space. If anyone has any food or supplies, we have pantries that can help supplement that. Now we're in one of our community spaces. This is our living room. So this space can be used as a place to rest, watch TV, or have youth dance parties. So this is our youth room, children's room. Because of COVID, we haven't really been able to utilize it in the same way. We haven't been having in-person groups. So now we're in one of my favorite spaces of the Safe House. So this is our backyard oasis. We have different types of seating. We have places to garden and find self-care and therapy. And then we have a playground where the youth and families can spend time together. Thank you for joining us on our tour today. We're so happy to have you. Our safe and welcoming home is possible because of your continued support.
Thank you. Tashakkur. Merci.
Thank you.
So Safe House not only helps survivors and their family heal and move towards safe and independent life, but also ensure they have longer housing after they stay with us. This brings us to the next program, our housing programs. Annie Olea is our Housing First Manager who joined SAFE the same year I did in 2018. If you attended our last year's Evening of Empowerment Gala, she's a familiar face to you. She was our special speaker who shared her incredible story with us that evening. So please welcome Annie.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Annie, and I'm the DV Housing First Manager. This state-funded program is designed to meet the specific needs of survivors. The funds are extremely flexible and can be used to meet a variety of needs intended to help clients maintain, sustain, or obtain housing. Our Housing First program has assisted over 200 clients over the last 2 years. For some clients, it's meant a one-time move-in assistance to either get them out of their abusive situation or get them out of the shelter. For others, it has meant financial assistance and resource referrals to relocate them completely. In some cases, so that the survivor could be closer to family and friends in order for them to have a support system close by. In other situations, it has been more to get the survivor to an area that is more affordable, which also removes them from where the abuse happened, or sometimes to remove them from the area where the person that caused them harm could still be. But the majority of our survivors fall into the category of short-term to extended support, which includes financial assistance, support with barrier remediation, referrals and assistance, connecting to social services, as well as case management. Our program also focuses on encouraging folks to participate in our wraparound services, including life skills building and financial literacy workshops. Our transitional housing program, which we have renamed the Mariposa Project, is designed for survivors that are in or will be starting vocational training programs and or internships that will lead towards higher paying jobs in the range of $25 or more. The Mariposa Project is a long-term program that can assist clients for up to a year or longer. It is based on the cohort model and meets regularly and is a space where survivors are encouraged to take on leadership roles to teach each other the skills that they've gained and or learned. Cohort members work on financial literacy, time management, self-care, and also have the space to discuss the challenges of navigating the world as survivors. They are encouraged to participate in our counseling services as well. This cohort has 18 members and will be graduating five survivors who will be able to maintain their own rents and expenses on their own. There are 2 who graduated from programs and are currently waiting to take state exams to be certified as an LVN and as a dental hygienist. Having such a program does not always mean success though. We have a few survivors who have been unable to meet their goals because of continued barriers, such as living wage in the Bay Area, the high cost of living, the lack of affordable housing, prior trauma, inability to manage PTSD, and our mental health issues. And the list goes on. But we work hard with clients to support them and assist with rebuilding skills. The lack of their being able to reach goals does not make them failures. It makes them human.
Thank you so much, Annie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Annie. Having a stable housing and a job are the fundamental of self-efficiency. However, all survivors have been through so much. That's why counseling service is essential. Counseling service is essential in the process of healing. Next, please welcome back Diane Anderson to share with us the services we provide in helping survivors psychologically and emotionally.
Very good. Thank you again. Yeah, so I'm blessed to head up our clinical program. I oversee a training program that has this year 7 master's and doctoral level trainees who are working towards their degrees, and they come to SAVE and provide all of the services that our clients receive. So we provide support groups. We provide one-to-one counseling for individuals, for families, for couples, and for youth. And we provide services both in Spanish and English. And at times we have had services in Hindi as well. Although, as you saw with our crisis line, we can serve anybody in any language through the county provided translation line that translates up to 300 languages. So there really are no barriers to our services. Last year we served about 250 clients through our program. About 130 came through our support groups, and then another, and some of those overlapped with individual services as well, about 130 through individual services. And you know, the COVID has been a blessing for our program in many ways, because it has allowed us to really evaluate how we do what we do and why we do it the way we do it. And remote services has been very good at removing many barriers for our clients, as mentioned previously, around transportation or childcare barriers. And also has allowed us, though, to continue in a live format for clients who have to come and see us in person. So we've been able to, as an essential service, maintain whatever platform is good for our clinicians, as well as whatever platform is good for our clients. So we work diligently to really try to address whatever barrier clients are facing on their journey towards self-sufficiency. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane, for explaining to us all the counseling services we have. So far, we have been talking about the intervention part of our services. But stopping the cycle of abuse really starts with education and prevention. We believe in preventing relationship abuse from happening in the first place. So please give a warm welcome to Melissa Espinoza, who is our Youth Service Program Manager and has been with us for 4 years. She will talk to you about SAFE's prevention services for our future, our youth.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm excited to talk about a very unique program that we offer at SAVE. I always say it's one of our innovative programs. So I am lucky enough to get to work with the team that I have and the youth leaders that we have. We at SAVE are able to provide a multi-day, a very comprehensive prevention education curricula that we've developed in-house with our team, as well as work with some amazing youth leaders at a middle school level as well as a high school level. Our leaders are really in charge of creating some amazing events that we're able to put out in the community. Most notably, I would like to highlight our Symbiosis event, where it's developed by our leaders. It's created for youth by youth, and it's a one-day event that youth can have amazing conversations around youth activism, healthy relationships, and uplifting queer and trans relationships. So that's what you see pictured here. The other hats that we wear here too is our intervention work. We provide crisis support and long-term support for youth needing services. Like Diane shared, this year we're lucky to have clinicians to support our youth work. So we have someone on call that can provide that support when schools ask for that for youth. Or if we have any youth who are needing, they can definitely drop in as a drop-in service too. Aside from that, our team is able to provide consultations and trainings. We get to work with different governmental programs and schools, service providers who are wanting to know how to work with youth, how to have these conversations with youth. So that's another big arm of our work that we provide for the community, as well as like how do you develop these groups and more in-depth training. So I wanted to share a little bit about this, and if you have any questions regarding them, feel free to reach out to us. And just as a quick little revamp, obviously for us it was easy to move into a virtual format just because the youth are just there and they were able to meet those needs. So just sharing a little bit of the program. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, Melissa. As you can see, we put a lot of effort in outreaching and engaging the youth about healthy relationships, because only with the right information we can prevent the abuse from happening in the first place. Our last program for tonight is the DV Counselor Training and Volunteer Program. I'll welcome back Jasia to speak about the training and how you can be one of our DV advocates.
Hi again, everyone. So I also wear the hat of the volunteer manager, where I facilitate our state-required 40-hour domestic violence training, as well as training our volunteer advocates to provide direct service. We actually just wrapped up our latest training today, where we had 6 folks graduate from the program, and we actually just finished training our clinical interns who are providing therapy to our clients. So we typically hold 3 trainings a year where folks who are interested in volunteering with our organization can attend. So volunteers have opportunities to work at our empowerment center, where they can support case managers in providing direct services, answering our hotline calls to provide immediate crisis support, working at the safe home, as well as providing court accompaniment for restraining orders. Our volunteer program offers lots of hands-on experiences to work directly with survivors, and is a great opportunity for those who are interested in social and nonprofit work. We also have other community care providers who are working with people experiencing DV that want to take the training. For example, we've had other domestic violence advocates from other organizations. We've had social workers from Alameda County take the training because they want to have a deeper understanding of intimate partner violence, because they are seeing it in the clients that they are working with. So some of the training topics that we cover throughout the training is we give an overview of domestic violence, so DV 101, talking about the history of the movement. We spend a lot of time talking about the DV advocate role, confidentiality, and we will specifically touch on different communities, such as survivors with disabilities, how IPV shows up in queer and trans communities, to highlight unique ways that certain communities can experience IPV. And so we will hopefully be having our next training sometime early next year, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to accommodate more folks, since we had to reduce the number of folks in our latest training due to shelter in place.
Thank you, Jasia. Now I hope that you have grown a deeper understanding of what we do and how we do it. But did you know that you can also help someone in an abusive relationship? You don't need to be a trained advocate or have an extensive knowledge. From my own experience, when I was going through my abusive relationship, I had 2 special friends who continually check in with me, support me, and encourage me. I couldn't seek professional help because my ex monitored and controlled everything I did. So if you know someone who might be going through a tough time, I want to share with you some tips that you can help. First, you want to believe them. You don't want to pass judgment. You want to be supportive, and you don't want to say, I would have. You want to listen. You want to tell them that you are concerned about them. Check in with them often. Don't ask a lot of yes and no questions. Just let them talk freely. Focus on their strength. Remind them how strong and beautiful they are. Never ask probing questions. Validate their experience and provide options. Don't force them to make a decision. It is very difficult. And also, you can always call SAFE's 24 hours hotline. Our last activity for tonight is inviting you to have a more intimate conversation about what you have heard and what you can do. We have talked a lot about what SAFE is doing in the community, and now we want to hear your thoughts. Before we send you in the breakout room, our program, I want to talk to you about this pledge. In the breakout room, our program managers will show you this pledge and give you some examples of what our SAFE has committed to do. Just one thing that you can easily do in ending DV in your own community. Well, welcome back, everyone, and I hope the conversation has expanded your knowledge on what action you can take. I would like to share a little bit in our group. We had some really thoughtful and warm conversations. And now I'd like to invite you to share with a larger group on one thing that you pledged to do. If you'd like to voice it, please raise your hand and we'll call your name and you can unmute yourself, or you can type it in the chat box. In my group, we have many people that come back and volunteer with us. So that's one, not small thing, one big thing that we can do is volunteer at SAFE.
Okay, so I'm applying the law of 2 feet. Keep learning, keep contributing until there's no need for an agency like SAFE in this world.
I want to share, but I don't see a hand to raise, so I'm going to raise my hand right here.
Hi, Lucy. Good to see you.
So, so my commitment is I'm going to share my story. I'm actually just about finished with my memoir. I am actually an ex-client of SAVE and successfully completed the program and remember it fondly, my son and myself. In fact, we both enjoyed the tour a little while ago, and it just brought us to tears because although it's been updated considerably, it was still a home for us for 2.5 months. So I'm going to share my story and hope that other people will understand how normal it is for many of us, but how difficult it is to be able to break that cycle of violence.
Oh no, she froze. Well, Lucy, if you can hear us, I hope that you can. Many people has given you claps and hearts for being so brave. Oh, you're back.
Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable, so I apologize.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you for a little bit. Many folks were giving you claps and give you hearts.
Thank you.
Sharing your stories sharing survivor stories is so important because it let other victims that who's still in the relationship know that it can be done. They can get out of it. Their life will get better. So thank you so much for breaking the silence and speaking up and even write your memoirs for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here in the chat, we have Jen Lin. She said she pledged to be a better listener. That's a great one. If we can have one more person that would like to share, and then we'll move on to our closing points for tonight.
I'd like to share if it's okay.
Hi, Beatrice. It's good to see you. Of
Hi,
course.
Beatrice.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello, everyone. So I just want to pledge to continue to support anyone that comes in to save with compassion, with love, and understanding. And the word that I want to focus on the most is like healing shame. A lot of survivors tend to feel shame, even when they're in an abusive relationship or out of the abusive relationship. And it's something very hard to deal with. And having a safe space to be able to no longer feel ashamed, having a place like Safe where you can receive services from compassionate folks, I think is one of the most meaningful things that we can do. So that's what I would like to pledge tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
We have a couple of pledges in the chat. There's Reshma who says she used to work with SAFE to do outreach. Thank you for joining us again, Reshma. And Yamini who said she pledges to normalize conversation around interpersonal violence and gender justice. The children, boys and girls.
That's really amazing. So now I'm pleased to introduce Diane back. She's going to provide our closing remarks on how you can stay connected with us and also help SAFE.
All on the same page. Great. So great ways you can help survivors, great ways you can help SAVE, okay? So educating yourself and staying aware of the things that SAVE is doing can be done through joining our newsletter and following us on social media. We help spread the word through those mechanisms. And as everybody is technologically connected these days, this is a great way to stay abreast of what's going on. So please consider joining our newsletter and following us on social media. Obviously becoming a donor. And right now, monetary donations are really our greatest need. We need to be able to use funding flexibly where the need is greatest. And we're really looking to increase the number of what we call sort of like our monthly donors. It's wonderful that you would want to give us a donation, but if you would consider giving it each month over the year that was on an automatic payment, it really helps us stabilize our income. We tend to have a large amount of donations in October, for which we're very grateful, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we have a lot at the end of the year. But our need, as you hear, goes all year round. And this year it started in March and accelerated through the summer. So if you were planning to give $100 at some point, it'd be great if you spread that out, in a $10 donation over the course of a year, whatever fits within your budget. We're really looking to increase those donations. Invite SAVE to present at your organization. We, as you heard, we're well equipped to do presentations for youth groups, for Rotaries, for your business organizations, people who are looking to better understand how they can get involved in the work that we do. So we've got a lot of presentations tailored a lot of different ways. So invite us to do a presentation. Attend SAVE events, of course. Volunteering, always good. You have to participate in our 40-hour training, which is at the end there in order to work with survivors, but we welcome you to do that. And we're always looking for members on our board and coming and participating more in the governance of our agency. And I'm going to add one more on here that came up for me tonight that would be really powerful, is for those of you who are survivors, especially if you are a survivor who was aided by SAVE at some point in your history, sharing your story with us and with me that I could then share anonymously, right? We redact it, with our funders is really, really powerful. Our funders ask all the time for the impact of our work, and there's no better way to show that impact than through your words and your story. So I would encourage you to, for those of you who are inspired, to share your story as your pledge. Please share a short version of your story with us that we could share with others to help lift up everybody. So that's great. Those are the things we have that you can support SAVE.
Thank you so much, Diane. Before we leave, I would like to give some special shout out for our SAVE staffs who didn't present tonight, but they're here. We have Leslie, we have Dipti, we have Ruby, if you can all raise your hand, we have Jay, and we have our volunteers. You can see we're really a group of family that we just, I love you all
And
so
Maya.
much. And Maya. So our last slide is our future events in October. This is only the first kickoff event. On next Friday, we have This is DV, where we have conversations with our case managers and also hear stories that highlight the different way in which domestic violence exists in our community. And next Wednesday, October 14th, next Wednesday, is Garden of Self-Care. It's a peer-led workshop that's under self-care. So in that workshop, you'll be invited to do some hands-on activity for yourself through healing and empowering. And Beatrice, who has just shared with us her thoughts about one thing that she can do, she's going to be the host for that workshop. So we hope that you can join us. And to conclude this October DV Awareness Month, we're going to have an open mic event. It's open for anybody. You don't have to be a survivor or advocate. Share your stories and your journey, your song, your poem, your written words with us to empower the community, to let us know that we're not alone. We're all in this together. We can all heal, encourage, and hope for a better future. So thank you so much for joining us tonight and spending your Friday evening with us.